Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome everybody here to the Lakers Lounge Podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin. I promised you guys that if the Lakers were able to beat the Clippers, I would pop on here and talk about the win. So here I am. The Lakers won. The final was 106 to 102. The Lakers, winning ugly kind of diminishes what this game actually felt like because of the way it all kind of unfolded. Unfortunately, it did also cost the Lakers Austin Reaves after already costing Rui Hachimura the other night. So we'll talk about those things. I have a guest coming on, hopefully over the course of the show to talk about that. But in this one, we'll be talking about that win. We'll be talking about what we saw from it. And we'll be talking about the Lakers again. Like, I cannot exaggerate how important it is that the Lakers continue to win while they while they figure it out. Like, it's very clear that LeBron and Luka continue to are working on developing that chemistry. And in this one, they were able to figure that out without Austin Reaves as that kind of blanket as he has been. So a whole bunch to get to here in a little bit. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Quick reminder, please do hit that subscribe button. If you guys are tuned in here on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the share button, all of those good things. If you guys are watching on Twitter, head on over to youtube.com/at Lakers Lounge to find the show there. And then if you guys are listening in the morning via podcast, please hit that subscribe button and the 5-star reviews. Like those things go a long ways as well. Yeah, I want to start though. Like, we'll just go really quickly through some of the numbers. So in this one, I thought it was really interesting to look at like the minutes allocation. The Lakers didn't have Austin in this one. He only played 9 minutes, and yet still Jared Vanderbilt played 15 minutes total. That would indicate to me that he's dealing with some kind of a minutes restriction. And that obviously complicates things a little bit. Rui didn't play in this one. And again, somebody at Vando's position, like, that's the kind of guy who, like, if you have Rui not playing and you have Austin not playing, and yet somehow still, if Jared Vanderbilt plays 15 minutes, it's a little noteworthy, especially in a game where he's a plus 20. And it's very clear throughout the game that Vando was giving whether it's James Harden or Kawhi Leonard issues. Like, he has been basically, he got back since Jared Vanderbilt got back. Like, it's been very clear that you have Dorian Finney-Smith being a fulcrum of the defense. You have Rui being a fulcrum of the defense as well as best as he can. LeBron has been very good defensively by his own definitions. But I have thought, dating back to that Denver game, that Jared Vanderbilt just going out there and just messing with people presents a wild card that the Lakers have just not had since Dwight, basically. And I thought in this one, Vando playing 15 minutes, he went 0 of 1 from the field, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, grabbed 5 boards, had a steal, but was still a game high plus 20 The only guy who came close to him was Derek Jones Jr. Uh, excuse me, for the Clippers. It's just the Lakers have really missed somebody who is willing just to to go out there and just absolutely fight people. When it comes time to it, set a couple illegal screens, uh, push a couple guys in the back for rebounds, box some guys out, even if it doesn't mean you get the board, just box some guys out. Like there's some real value in there in the way that Jared Vanderbilt has been playing. And I thought tonight was a really good amalgamation of everything that he brings to the table. So that was really, really fun to watch. So as far as like the role players side of this, that was awesome to watch Jared Vanderbilt go out there and like again remind people, yeah, this is why this is why you guys missed me last year. Outside of that, to briefly recap, the guy who I thought meant the most in this game as he continues to kind of figure out his footing in it. I know Nico Harrison is funny. I got a note the other day that he hates this clip, which makes me want to play this even more. Yeah. Luka's funny because he's so different from your typical American dominant player in that, like, your typical American dominant athlete is jumping through the gym, like sprinting up and down the court, getting into passing lanes, is like you can't keep guys in front of them. Like normally your typical American dominant athlete is LeBron. And it's funny that it's funny. It's one word for it is funny. Another word for it is delightful, honestly, to watch LeBron and Luka figure it out together while Luka is very clearly kind of like easing his way back into basketball shape, coming off of the most, I would probably say, like the scariest moment in his professional career. And it's really funny to watch him tonight, where Luka finishes up tonight 35 minutes, which outside of LeBron was the most minutes anybody played for the Lakers. And in those 35 minutes, Luka went 9 of 22 from the field, 3 of 9 from 3-point range. Still really clear that he's kind of like figuring out his rhythm from there. 31 points, 5 assists, 3 steals, to go with a couple of boards. And what's funny is that like he winds up being a minus 13 in the game. And yet, like while he was in the game, like you were really comfortable with him kind of figuring it out over the course of the proceedings. And it's been such a delight to watch Luka and LeBron like very clearly when they're on the game on the court together, kind of like look across the court to each other is like, all right, I'm going to go over here. It's going to bring everybody over here. And if I don't immediately create an opportunity over here, I'm going to skip it as hard as I possibly can. And you now get to attack a rotating defense. And it's been like a real delight, like with the Lakers offense, to watch such incredible self creators and also creators for others, like just kind of like pick apart defenses because they put those defenses in such impossible spots. And I thought tonight was a great example of it, where like you're watching the Clippers, and my guest just popped in, so I'm going to get to him as soon as I can. But I'm watching the Clippers, and it's Kawhi and it's James Harden, and it's like the ball rotates over to them, and they don't necessarily know exactly the angle to attack that puts the Lakers in the toughest spot that they can. And as a result of it, like, the Lakers were able to rotate and get to the front of the rim. And it's not dunks that the Lakers are creating. It's like floaters and it's mid-range jumpers, or at best for the Clippers, it's corner three-pointers for guys that they don't necessarily want shooting corner three-pointers. Whereas for the Lakers, it's like dunks for Jackson. It's open shots for either Luka or LeBron, or it's open jumpers for Dorian or for Gabe or for Goodwin or whatever. And it's just it's really fun to watch two dynamos basically offensively put offenses in the worst spot that they can, and then on top of it have somebody, when the ball rotates over to that guy, like, watch that guy on the opposite side take complete advantage of what the defense is doing for them. So absolutely great execution, I thought, like down the stretch from LeBron and Luka, especially compared to James and Kawhi. And I really thought that was the difference in this game. We also, in this one, unfortunately got Austin exiting early. I was texting around throughout the game to kind of see what was going on there. Was it precautionary? Was it a pop? Was it this? Was it that? Whatever. And from what I was told throughout the game, it was in that in-between area where it's like there wasn't a pop, but it was also a little bit beyond precautionary. So I think the Lakers, especially given the way that they have looked since they traded for LeBron, are going to be super cautious with this one. And as I was getting ready to go live here, again, last second, because it's Friday night, I don't normally go live last second. But I asked around on the internet, and I found somebody who is as informed on these subjects as possibly can be. I'm bringing on Dr. Evan Jeffries, who you find on Twitter. Incredibly well-informed person when it comes to this, a lot of the sports injuries that you see over the course of these games and in these situations. And Dr. Jeffries, Evan, how do you prefer that I talk to you here?
Hi, you can just call me Evan. Yeah,
All
I
right,
usually go by Evan, but appreciate it though.
So lounge rookie and all that good stuff. Evan, I wanted to bring you on here because and I'll offer up like what little background information I have.
Yeah.
And then we will bring into it as well what understanding you have on some of these situations and like what some of these injuries have looked like. Obviously, we have the Rui situation from last game, and then now tonight we have the Austin situation as well. Well, let's start with Rui because it happened first.
Yeah,
that was a really weird one because Austin, pats the ball ahead. There is nobody on the other side of the court, on the side of the court that Rui is dunking the ball on. Rui dunks the ball and then immediately goes to the bench and grabbing something. We don't really get a really good look at it. We did, there are some angles of the play where it kind of shows him landing somewhat awkwardly. No MRI has been run, and they're still considering it a strain.
Yeah.
Based on your experience in this kind of situation, what do you think is going on here with Rui?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I was trying to find a video that give me a clear image of what happened with the injury. But honestly, it looked like when he first just started to jump on that left knee, that's when he felt the pain. And it wasn't really when he was landing. It was just kind of
he didn't get above the rim.
Totally,
he's kind of slid the ball over the top,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
was it.
So you can tell he had immediate pain with just jumping from it. He's been wearing that leg compression, which a lot of the athletes wear, but it looked like he had maybe something underneath that as well. And then I just saw in JJ Redick's press conference that he said he has patellar tendinopathy. So essentially, what that is like jumper's knee. And it's basically like he's been dealing with patella tendon pain. So if you look below the kneecap, that's where it would be. So the patella tendon. So if I were to guess, he's probably been dealing with some sort of lingering pain besides just that moment that happened last night.
Yeah, the I hate non-contact injuries.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Like
I know.
those are like of all of the injuries that take place, the ones that you can't quite place.
Totally.
Where you see. I remember because it happened, and initially all of the focus was on Austin because there was a collision after he, passed the ball forward. You're like, Austin's kind of holding his neck, and you're like, hey, is he okay? And then, like, as they're focused on Austin, you look over at Rui, and he's like grabbing something, and just the game before, he was grabbing his side.
Yeah, and he had a little. I think it was the game in Denver where he had a little. It looked like he had a back tweak or something like that. So
exactly.
You weren't kind of sure what exactly happened, but then when he was walking to the locker room, you kind of see him grab his knee. But my main thing was I was looking for any instability when he was taking off, and it never looked like in the video footage that I had that any buckle of the knee or anything like that. So I was at least minorly okay or optimistic with it, especially when they Lakers reported a knee strain versus sprain. So anytime you hear the strain versus strain is always muscle, so like a tendon or a muscle injury, and then a sprain is always ligament in the joint, right? So if you hear the strain part, you're kind of like, at least that gives you an idea that it's probably something not like long term.
And then, combine that with the fact that they didn't run an MRI the next day.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
There wasn't any further information on it. So it does seem like they're okay. The fact that they had like you mentioned the game before, Rui had that like one moment where he like walked off the court. Remember Aaron Gordon kind of gave him that elbow when he walked to the back of walked right back to Rui's funny because he's like, ow, and he just like walks off.
And he's off the court. He's in the locker room. I know. That's pretty significant if you're just going straight back there, right?
Right. Yeah. I've been watching sports now for like 30-something years now, and like normally when guys walk off the field or like they push them, they push themselves right off the field. You're like, well, that doesn't look great. But Rui is funny because he's like any kind of a tweak or whatever. He's like, I'll be right back. I'll be all right. Maybe I'll be all right. Maybe I won't, but I'll be right back. Yeah. And so that's what happened the first time with Rui with the Denver thing. And then the second thing with like it being the knee, it makes me a little bit more nervous.
Yeah, more concerned with
is there any link, do you think, between the two things? Do you think it's like a fatigue thing over 50 games to this point?
Could be, right? We're in the last third of the season, right? So guys are kind of piling up the fatigue, and at this point in the season, they're not training as hard, like strengthening, right? They're just kind of making it game by game, right? And I know the Lakers' schedule is obviously not conducive of any of this, trying to keep some rest on these players. And he's been playing like some of the best ball he's played with the Lakers, right? So it's like he's been playing well. He's been doing good. Now, the back could have contributed in a way of just like maybe he's a little stiffer than he normally is, right? But the way they diagnose it as a tendinopathy, just means it's kind of been there for a little while, but it just got worse with that movement.
Cool. All right, let's move on to Austin tonight, where he exits like midway through the first quarter, plays I think a total tonight of 9 minutes, and again another one where it's like you can't isolate the moment where he specifically gets hurt.
Yeah,
and
I can find that.
So yeah, like it, before I went on the air, I tried to go back and find it in the first quarter.
Yeah,
It's Friday
I didn't
night,
see any
it's
videos.
I'm just like kind of watching the rest of
Yeah,
it in the way everybody else does, and
yeah,
so I go back and I try to find it. I'm not quite like sure where it
yeah,
specifically happened. He goes off the court, and then midway through like the second quarter, heading into halftime, we start to get, or no, on the other side of halftime, we get note that Austin isn't going to be coming back with
yeah,
calf soreness.
yeah,
Obviously, Lakers fans are specifically in tune to calf soreness because of how it went down with the guy pictured behind me over there.
yep,
Um, for what it's worth, I asked around,
okay,
and according to my sources, there was no pop.
good, yeah,
This isn't necessarily precautionary. There is some legitimate soreness there.
yeah.
Um, what's like the in between to you of like a real pop where like you walk off the court, you're like, fuck,
Yep.
like this,
Yep.
that hurt, that moment hurt.
Yeah.
And like that amount of soreness with somebody like Austin, who is a really tough dude. Like
Yeah.
we have seen that guy play through all kinds of stuff. Um, without with the amount of information that we have in front of us, that in between, like where do you place, like what do you think lies in between, the worst case scenario is a pop
Yeah.
and the best case scenario is precautionary? What fills that gap in between a pop and precautionary?
Yeah, so I think he, because they're saying soreness right now, right? And you didn't hear anything about a pop, so that's good news, right? Because even a pop could indicate like a partial tear of the calf. If I were to guess, I mean, I'm assuming he's going to get an MRI, but he would probably be in that range between.
Yes, he's due for an MRI tomorrow, I'm
Yeah,
told.
tomorrow, right? So I would guess based on the soreness, tightness that he's experiencing, it could be like either um, just more of the tightness, why there is no grade one strain. But in my opinion, he's probably somewhere in between that grade one strain and just the soreness. The grade one strain would just be more of the mild version of it. It's more like the micro tearing, right? It's not a full partial tear of the calf. It's really in between. If you're doing percentage, it's between the 0 to 25% range, right? Of a full 100% being a full tear. So based on, we didn't see a significant play where it happened, or like you see him just immediately grab it and then kind of go down and then kind of have to like limp into the locker room like that. I think it's positive, right? So it might have been something that started getting tight as the game was going on in the first couple minutes, and then it just got to a point where he can really take it and didn't want to make it worse. Oop. I think I hear you all of a
I'm
sudden.
muted. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Given that region of the body, this Lakers organization specifically, again, guy behind me,
Oh yeah,
they are always going to be very, very cautious with that
yeah,
region of the
yep,
body. And again, given the import also of like Austin and the offense
yeah,
and
yeah.
frankly also on the defense too. I think they were always going to play this overly cautious.
Oh, for sure.
Um, I the part of it that's interesting to me, and what I kind of want to like pick your brain about before I get you out of here, is with somebody like Austin, like so with Rui, he's this big guy.
Yeah,
He finishes at the rim a bunch. He in this new defense, the way that the Lakers are running him, he's defending opposing big men and he's switching out
yeah,
on pick and rolls and stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, from your perspective, and then you compare that to like Austin, who like
yeah.
I don't know if he's ever had an above the rim play in his life, outside of like a breakaway.
Few dunks. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
like from your perspective, in your experience with athletes, like how do you prepare a Rui versus an Austin?
Yeah, good question. So Rui's a stronger, more physical type of player. Austin's more is trickier for him, right? He's more the elusive player. He's crafty with the ball, right? He's going from side to side a lot of more lateral movements with Austin versus with Rui's kind of straightforward. And so that in that way, that kind of concerns me with the calf because that takes a lot of force onto the muscles there. His ability to kind of shift from one leg to another leg quickly. And so, in my opinion, with I'm more concerned probably with Austin's, just based because it's a soft tissue injury in terms of the calf, and it's not necessarily the tendon, where the patella tendon is just more of like pain management, and that'll probably get better pretty soon. For Austin, if he were to come back soon and then make it worse, which he could be out for he can actually strain it where he'd have a partial tear or something like that. And he's just such a crafty player that you want to make sure that they're going to probably take all the precautions to make sure he's ready for the stretch run.
Great information, man. Thank you very much for popping on, especially on short-term notice, man. I was like getting ready to record the pod, and I was like, I asked Raj if he wanted to come on. He's like, I have a terrible headache. I'm like, okay, yeah, me too. Yeah, I watch the Lakers too. And then I asked Jen, I was like, yeah, do you want to come on and talk about like so-and-so's injuries? And she was snoring currently. Evan, I do greatly appreciate you hopping on here and offering up that information. And no, you are somebody who I just hit up by DM, and I'm going to be hitting up again. Anything that you want to plug? Anything you want to plug before we get you out of here?
Just all my socials. I'm under the Game Injury Doc. If you don't follow me yet, it'd be great to have some follows. And then just let me know, man. I'm always welcome to come on anytime. Talk about the Lakers. I'm a huge Laker fan, so that's one of the reasons. But and also I'm always talking about all the NBA injuries and NFL stuff too as well.
Well, thank you again, man, for popping on short notice. Great information, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, all right. Take care, man.
All right, so before we get out of here, Anthony just said he's not Frank Vogel. That was not Frank Vogel who popped on there. No, I look. There are a lot of like internet doctors out there. There are like a ton of people who like say they know this and they know that, and they know whatever. Dr. Jeffries, Evan, as we just talked to him, that dude knows his shit. And anytime you like see some kind of injury update or whatever, Evan is there with some kind of like actual practical analysis on what that means for the situation and the team and all that stuff. Evan's really good at this, so I will be leaning on him here a lot more moving forward. So let's go ahead and close this thing out with a couple of your guys' questions. Before we get to the questions, I do want to like talk about the way that the Lakers kind of close this thing out. I thought it was really interesting how without Austin out there to kind of bridge that gap between Luka and LeBron, the Lakers still continued. They still continue to basically like put one guy on one side of the court, other guy on the other side of the court, and then force the defense to rotate to one or the other. And it worked, right? The Lakers finished this one with 106 points and scored 23 in the fourth quarter. So like, and again, that's without Austin. It does really kind of speak to how important Austin is in this. And they didn't have Rui in this one at all for this game either. We'll see if Austin is able to play in the next one here and the next ones here moving forward. But this does, like, if Austin isn't able to play and if Rui isn't able to play, this does basically force LeBron and Luka to actually interact a lot more than they have to this point. And like the basketball fan in me is really fascinated to watch how this plays out, because we just watched Luka and LeBron take turns and be able to outlast Kawhi and Harden. And Kawhi and Harden basically never interact on a basketball court. And it really, I think, hamstrings what that team is looking to, or frankly able to do offensively. And if Austin does miss like a week or so, or a week or two, it does put the onus on LeBron and Luka to be able to actually like start to play basketball together. And that's going to be really fascinating to watch, like what that actually looks like moving forward. Right as I was getting ready to go to bed, we did get a starred comment here at the very end, so I'm going to go ahead and play the most important clip on the show. That was not it. That was a very different clip. Also not it. This is the one. Nope, that's not it. All right, Ryan Lucas writes, possible to sign PJ, Goodwin, Jameson by cutting Len, shaking Cam. Len, looking back, was rushed. That'd be ideal, in my opinion, if they could do that. So they cannot, like, if you cut players, you still owe their money, and that still costs against, that still is counted against the cap. So, like, you cut Len, doesn't really do anything for you. And then, like, Shake, you can cut him. That doesn't do anything for you. Cam, you can cut him, and it also doesn't do anything for you. And I am recording right now. It is 12:35 my time. There is another 25 minutes between now and March 1st East Coast time. And any player that the Lakers cut will not be eligible to be signed, and it will not be eligible to play in the playoffs if they are signed by a different team. I have heard that the Lakers are probably going to cut another player, especially to sign somebody like Goodwin, who they have been really impressed by over the last few years. So I would be pretty surprised if Goodwin doesn't finish the season on the Lakers official roster. And then that Len signing, even while I was at the time, pro signing Len, he has underwhelmed the Lakers from what I'm told. Now they can't cut him because they signed him for the rest of the season. And that does affect your ability to sign somebody like Jemison. But I don't think the Lakers are as worried about, gosh, what do we do? We can't sign Jemison, as much as they are. They really like Jordan Goodwin, and I would be pretty surprised if he doesn't finish the season on the Lakers official roster. All right, that is going to do it here for this shorter episode of the Lakers podcast, or Lakers Lounge podcast. It is a Saturday night. I am exhausted. I have worked way too much over the last few weeks, and I will be right back at it again on Sunday. So until then, and until the next time you guys hear from us, I'm Anthony Irwin. You guys heard from Evan Jeffries earlier. Thank you very much to Dr. Jeffries for popping on to talk about some of those injuries and what those look like here moving forward. Great information from him. And we'll be right back at it again after the game Sunday night. Raj and I will be there to break down that game, however it plays out. So until then, and until the next time you guys hear from me, I'm Anthony Irwin saying Have a great rest of your day. Make somebody else's. We'll talk to you guys. Somebody just randomly commented, Sean Rooks. I never need to like hear that voice or like name. Great dude. Terrible basketball player. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll talk to y'all on Sunday.
Bye, everyone.